So. Good evening. This is the Public Works Committee of the Common Council. I would like to call this meeting, November 1st meeting to order. Roll call tonight. We have Tom Livingston, Brian Meek, Dominique Johnson, myself, Barbara Smith. We are waiting on Darlene Young, who will be here. Both Ms. Najelski-Eichner and Ms. Shanahan will not be attending tonight. So we do have a quorum. First item on the agenda is public participation. Do we have anyone who is signed up to speak? Or any attendees who would like to speak? Does not look like it. Okay. Let us close public participation then, and we can move on to new business. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the Public Works Committee meeting of Tuesday, October 4th, 2022. Do I have a motion? Mr. Livingston moves. Are there any changes, additions, corrections to the minutes? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. Ms. Johnson, you there? I know you are.
Yes, I am. Trouble unmuting. Aye, thank you.
All right, thank you. So that passes unanimously. Okay, next item on the agenda is to reauthorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute the agreement for use of municipal public property, temporary work area agreement, side letter agreement, and any and all other documents with Eversource necessary and for the purpose of providing Eversource with rights to underground its electrical transmission and distribution lines at the Norwalk Police Station and Veterans Park in connection with the Walk Bridge project and the city's compensation for such rights per the enclosed memorandum of Vanessa Valadares dated October 26, 2022. Will someone like to move that, please? It's you, Mr. Livingston. Thank you. Okay, so I do just want to point out that this will not move directly to the Common Council for a vote until the second meeting of the month, because after it moves through this committee, it will need to go to the Harbor Commission as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission. So I am just going to, we have the backup. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Valadares to explain the situation here.
Thank you so much. So I just want to share my screen with you because I think that will be easier for me to go through everything that I'm going to explain. So let me see if I have share screen. And okay, can you guys see the screen? Okay.
Yes, we can.
So just to refresh everyone's memory, I believe I did this presentation to you back in September of last year.
Before you get started, can I just make note that Ms. Young has joined the meeting?
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
No problem. So last September, we came in front of the committee to ask for authorization for the mayor to sign all the documents related to the relocation of the transmission lines for Eversource. The reason that I'm coming back in front of you is that there was a slight change on the route, and that's why we need to reauthorize the mayor to support all the documentation for Eversource. The reason for that is that one of the acquisitions that was supposed to happen on the west side of the river fell through. So with that, the route had to be redesigned and had a slight change. So pretty much from the police headquarters all the way to the end of Water Street, there is really no change. The change starts as we get into the private property. Originally, it was supposed to go on this north property. Now we are using the south one. With that, that's a change on the route under the river. We go through Vets Park, and then the difference is that before that route was going a little bit north and coming this way, and now it gets this a little bit south of what was originally proposed. There is really no change on the location of the vaults. It's still back on the street on the 136. So just to make itself clear, all the red that you see in my map is underground utilities. The yellow portion of it, it is the horizontal drilling that will happen. So it will continue as a horizontal drilling until it reaches the road. This dot line that you see over the park is just a temporary easement, because when they gonna feed the pipe into the pits, they need enough space to be, it's a continuous operation, so they need to have the pipeline up. There is a change on this hash line due to the change of the position of the line on this construction easement that will happen on the park. This should be last a few weeks. It's not like a permanent easement that we're looking here. So now I'm gonna just change on what you guys approved before. This was really the easement map that was originally approved in the last meeting. And what we are proposing now, it shows the change. So as you can see, this area is a little bit wider here, a little bit shorter, and this one is a little bit longer. So this is really the easement impact on the park due to the new route. So because of that, and because of the impacts that the new route will bring to the park, we were able to renegotiate the site ladder, and that will be supporting all this documentation. So on the site ladder, originally, there would be kind of a financial support of $440,000 that would be applied to the underground and improvement streetscape at Elizabeth Street. Now that number went up to $452,000. Another thing was originally on the first proposal, Eversource was contributing with $25,000 towards the Harbor Commission. That number now was moved to $50,000. And also there is an extra contribution to the Shellfish Commission of $10,000. So overall, there is 12,000 plus 25 plus 10 that was added to the site ladder as a result of the rerouting. So that's why we're in front of you, because due to the easement in the park that changes, the right channel is to go in front of the Public Works. We're also going to go in front of the Planning Commission to revise the 824, and we'll come in front of the Harbor Commission and Shellfish Commission on November 16th. After that, we're going to move this item, if you guys approve tonight and everybody approves, to the Common Council on the November 22nd. Do you guys have any questions?
Okay, no one? Okay, I think that, it's important that we move this along so that it can go to, in front of the Harbor and Shellfish Commission, and they can have a look at it, as well as planning and zoning. So I will go ahead and call for a vote, but Vanessa, can I ask you to stop sharing your
So
screen?
Barbara, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So-
Yeah, sorry.
So after all of the other committees look at it, then what's the process again?
It will come back. It will go to the Common Council.
It will come to us.
It will come to the full Common Council, yeah.
And that's after review by you said zoning?
The Planning and Zoning Commission, Ms. Young, just need to approve what we call a 824 because of the easement. So there is a change on the area of the easement. So that's why we have to go ahead and ask them for approval again. Last time, I don't know if you remember, we did a joint meeting. So was approved on the same meeting. We didn't have the opportunity to do a joint meeting this time. So we'll have to run in front of them one more time.
Okay.
For the same reason.
And you don't foresee any hiccups there? I mean, it's just a slight change.
Correct.
Okay.
I just want to confirm, I think that I said 440. I just want to confirm that I think that the right number originally was $404,000. I just want to check on my memo, what I wrote. So there
It's
is no
404.
confusion. It was 404, but we are now on,
Yeah, 404 up to 452.
yes, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
So it's not 452, it should be $12,000 more. So it should be, I know it's $12,000 more. I'll have to do a change on that. So
Okay, there's a
so
typo.
it is 12,000. So the 452 was my mistake because I think that originally I saw as 404. So Mrs. Smith, do you, I don't, well, we didn't put the amount in the resolution, so the
Correct.
resolution doesn't change. But I just want to clarify that is $12,000 more than it was on the original of that 404, plus the 25, plus the 10.
see.
I apologize. So
Okay.
I'll revise the memo also.
Okay, that works for me. All right, and would you mind stop sharing your screen so I can see everyone for a vote? Thanks. In the meantime, are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor signify by raising your hand, please.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Abstentions? All right, that carries unanimously. Thank you. Excuse me. Okay, let's move on. I'd just like to note that items 3, 4, and 5 are all connected to the East Avenue Underground Utility Project. And so I will move them separately, though. Item number 3, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Frontier Communication Parent, Inc. for the East Avenue Advanced Utility Project number 0301 0515 NP for an amount not to exceed $550,000. Accounts noted. Would someone like to move that, please?
So moved, Chair.
Thank you. Who was that? Ms. Johnson?
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay,
It's me.
all right. Ms. Johnson
Thank
moves the item. Ms. Valadares, this is a matter of just moving the funds, right?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go through. It applies to all the next 2 items as well. As you're aware, the city is responsible for the underground utilities between Fort Point and Olmsted. And this is part of we have to make an agreement with the utility companies and also make sure that we have funds for the costs associated for them to move all the wires. So as of now, under the state project, all the infrastructure is being built. We already paid, we have been paying, we sent our second payment now July 1st for the underground utilities between Fort Point and Olmsted. And now it is, after all the infrastructure is installed, we need to start really moving those wires. So the cost associated to it, we do not have a final number yet. What they do is they send an estimate. We're going to do an agreement, and then we're going to get billed as is. Unfortunately, I need to have these agreements on place right now because the state also is concerned that if we do not have that agreement in place, they are concerned that the utility company is not going to do the work that they are supposed to and will delay the project. One of the reasons why I never brought this to you earlier with all the other project was we didn't have a proposal yet.
Okay, and this has been in front of the committee before, so we're, approving the funds to move this along. Are there any questions or comments? No, okay. Seeing none, all in favor, raise your hand, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, that carries unanimously. Moving on to item 4, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Windstream Communications, Inc. for the East Avenue Advanced Utility Project, number noted, for an amount not to exceed $5,000 accounts noted. Who would like to move that, please? Mr. Livingston moves it. And again, the same thing. Are there any questions about this particular aspect? Mr. Livingston?
My question's not about the project, but do we really have to approve the items that are $5,000?
It's not for the value, it's for the agreement itself. The state needs to see that we have an agreement with each utility company.
Okay, yeah, just seems so small. Okay.
I know,
Mm.
I agree, but unfortunately, we need the agreement. And again, this is just like a proposal based on what they believe it will be the service. I think that 5,000 was a very low number that they estimate. We double check, they said that is the number, but I need the agreements in place to send to the state.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor? Raise your hand, please.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Abstentions? All right, that also carries unanimously. And then 5, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Willing, to execute an agreement with Crown Castle International for the East Avenue Advanced Utility Project number noted for an amount not to exceed 170,000. Accounts noted. Questions on that one? All right, all in favor?
Wait, Barbara, you want me to move
I
it?
could,
Oh, thank you. Mr. Livingston moves it.
Unless Dominique wants to.
I can move it. I'm unmuted. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. We'll give it to Ms. Johnson.
So moved. So moved.
Keep it fair. All right, all in favor, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, no, that carries unanimously. All right, and finally, in new business, authorize the purchasing agent to authorize a sole source purchase order to Cargill Salt for treated road salt for snow and ice control, pricing not to exceed $108 per ton for normal and after-hour deliveries effective for the 2022-2023 snow season. Account noted. Who would like to move that? Okay, Mr. Livingston. Yeah, this is just, our annual purchase of salt for snow and ice. Anyone have any questions about this?
What was it before?
87.
Wow.
Yeah. It's about a little over 20% increase, if I'm not mistaken, as is everything.
Exactly.
But-
So that's what we have been seeing throughout the industry.
Luckily for us, we fill up our shed at the end of every year just for this reason. So we do have a shed full of salt that we paid $87 a ton for. If the gods are with us this year, maybe we won't have to spend $108 a ton. But I just wanted you guys to know that we do have a full shed of salt from last year that we paid $87 a ton.
Thank you, Chris. Mr. Meek.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Tom asked the same thing. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
asking.
Yeah. Ms. Johnson?
Yes, that's good to know we have that salt left. And my other question is just to reaffirm what I remember we talked about last year, which is the environmental, the lack of environmental impacts, I suppose, from this salt. Is that right? It's like, is it the calcium chloride, if I'm not mistaken, or magnesium? I'm sorry.
You're
So
muted.
whatever we're using.
I'm sorry, we don't
There
use
you go.
magnesium chloride anymore. It's treated rock salt. It's treated with xanthan gum. It helps the eclectic temperatures lower in a storm.
Okay, great. For the ice in particular. All right. And then are the effects on the environment similar, or the lack of imprint on the environment similar, since it goes into the storm drains?
That's where we want it. We don't want it on the grass killing the trees. So we would prefer that the salt that we spread stays on the road and does what it's supposed to do, and then dilutes and washes away. And it's environmentally friendly, or we would not use it.
Perfect. Oh, that's excellent. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Superintendent.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, I appreciate you always paying close attention to that, Chris, in your ordering and being mindful of, the environmental impact. We had a pretty big discussion about this, I recall, last year. So thank you for being mindful. Any other questions on that?
My son just told me one of the words I used wasn't really a word. So
Oh, Which word was that? I didn't catch it.
I'm certainly not gonna say.
Okay, fine. All right, I'll call for a vote then. All in favor, raise your hand, please.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? All righty, that carries unanimously as well. Okay, so that ends our new business and we can now move on to information. First being the snowplow name contest, which is very fun.
Yeah, so I have to say that Chris was really the brain behind it. He had this idea of doing something fun with our snow plowing trucks. So we had a very elaborate idea, but then we realized that we wouldn't have enough time to implement. So we're gonna do like as a pilot program this year. So we played the other day, we already picked the names. So if you go to the website that is listed in our minutes, you can vote. I believe that we just released 13 out of the 26 routes now up to this week. We're gonna release the other ones by the next couple of weeks. And whoever get the most votes of the 3 names that we put for each one, that truck, the main truck, will be named after. We are planning to use orange letters, so it will match our plow and people will see. So cast your vote in, election for the snow plowing is coming, and don't share that, but actually you can vote on other routes as well. So we didn't make like only if you're a resident on that route that you can vote. So you can vote to all the 26.
Mr. Livingston.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea. I just am reminded, and I don't know who knows the story of Bodie McBoatface. When they did this in Britain to name a research vessel, they asked the public to come up with a name and vote on it, and the name that won was Bodie McBoatface. So I think I heard you have already selected the names, so we don't have that run that risk.
There are 3 names, and we went through and we read it all again to make sure that we were not crossing any lines. So I think we're good.
Yes, we're not going to end up with anything like that, but I think it's a great idea.
So maybe next year we make it like an open-ended so people can come up with, I don't know, names, themes and all that. We can elaborate from that. So let's see how we'll play,
Yeah.
how much people will vote in and how people like the idea. At the same time, I must confess that as everybody knows, I'm not a winter person. I really do not like the snow. So we have to make something fun out of it to make it go fast.
Ms. Johnson.
Can I haven't had a chance to look at the website yet. Is it possible just for my edification to know the names that were picked to choose from?
Yeah, so when you go into the website, you're gonna see that there is the route number and there are 3 options. So you'll just vote in one of the 3.
Oh, okay, so there's, how many routes are there then? There's multiple, I assume, and then each one has 3 to choose from. Okay.
Correct. Each one
Oh, this is
has
exciting.
3, and I don't believe that we repeated the names. If we did, was just an oversight. So we had
Oh,
to
great.
come up with like 78 names.
How
Oh,
did
my
you come
goodness.
up with them? I'm sorry. How did you
Oh,
come
that's
up
okay.
with the name?
I just know what I'm doing tonight, and now I would like to know. Yeah, there's one in particular I think would be amazing, but I won't say because I don't know if it's been chosen. So yeah, go ahead, Tom.
I was curious how you came up with the 78 names.
No, we had to, you have to be sitting in the airport waiting for your flight, and then you have nothing to do. It was a team effort with operations. That's what we did.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's good for, I think everyone feels good when they see a snowplow go by, because it means that they're going to be able to safely leave their driveways and get to work and, take care of business, whatever it happens to be. And just to think that you might have something to do with naming that particular snowplow. It's great. I think
So
it's
our contest will
Sure.
finish. We have a deadline. We're hoping to not get any snow on the ground until the Friday before Thanksgiving. So that's when we're gonna look at the poll, see what got voted, and then the next week we're gonna be adding the letters to the trucks. So hopefully by Thanksgiving, all the trucks will be named. That's the
Right.
goal.
And I think that the 2 best names should be the trucks that we light up every year that we drive around the city close to the holidays. So maybe those could be the 2 best names, because those are going to be out there during rush hour and people are going to see them with the plows on and the lights on. And it's a good, feel-good story.
It's awesome. Okay, all right, let's move on to tree operations and programming.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. So this month, or for the month of September, we removed 3 trees in the parks property, 2 maples and 1 cherry. On the school properties, we removed 3 trees, 2 ash, 1 pine. And in the city right away, we removed 22 trees, 9 trees of heaven, 1 crabapple, 2 ash, 2 elms, 2 birch, 5 maple, and 1 oak. We did 25 safety prunings in the parks property, 8 safety prunings in the school property, and 13 safety prunings in the city right away. And the locations are in your backup.
Can I just ask, how are the younger trees holding up with the drought that we've had, and we're still under water
We're
restriction?
watering them as required, so
Okay,
they're doing
okay.
good.
They're holding up
So
okay.
those trees are not part of the water emergency plan. But now we also said about what we cut it and prune, but now I want to let Paul tell you guys how much we have planted so far, because the numbers are very, very good.
Good evening, everyone. So far this fall, this particular planting season, we've planted 172 trees to date, and we've ordered an additional 48 trees that will be planted in the next couple of weeks.
Great. It's the most trees we've planted, isn't it?
This will be a record cycle. This cycle, it will beat what we had in the spring. In the spring was a total of 171 planted, and with what we've planted so far, the 172 beats that, and we've got another 48 that have been ordered that will be put in before Thanksgiving.
Terrific. Well done.
Great news.
Yeah. All right, any questions there? All right, let's move on to the monthly solid waste report.
You're muted, Chris. So Chris will give the report.
Yeah, you know what? It gets me every single time. I'm sorry. Curbside tonnage from this year to last year is up 11.5%, and MSW tonnage out is down 14.6%. And you ask how this happens. More people that are throwing their garbage out at the curb and not at the transfer station. So moving on to recycling, and then I want to get back to that. Recycling is down 8.1% in curbside collection and up 21% at the transfer station. So that tells us that we need to do a better job working with Win Waste, which we have, to educate the public on what's recyclable. We have a lot of new people moving from other municipalities that the recycling and the garbage is, everything is different. So we didn't do a better job of realizing how many new residents we have and educate them on recycling and food composting and things like that moving forward. I just want you guys to know that we do recognize that the numbers are a little off, and we would like to see recycling curbside done at a better clip. And if that means more enforcement, then we're going to do that, and education and outreach with the mayor's office and you guys, of course.
Chris, recently there was a new rundown of what is able to be recycled curbside. And it seemed to me that there were some changes to that from what had been prior.
No, I don't think there was a change. Are you talking about the flyer?
Yeah, it was a flyer. I saw it somewhere, and I
On
printed
the social
I
media.
literally printed it and put it by my recycling. So there was one thing that I guess I was wrong about. So if there were no changes, one thing I was wrong about. So
one thing that we did was that there was really no change. We just made it a little more friendly, because we realized that sometimes people, even for them to read, it can cause some doubts. So that's why we create that flyer that was more illustrative pretty much, but there was no change from what has been in the last couple of years. And then we put it that on the social media.
Mhm.
And we know that also we need to try to do a better job with the no spoken English residents, because they are the ones that have much of a harder time to recycle. But we are using our contractor to go and do that outreach to them.
Well, I can attest, it's very clear. I think that you did a really good job of updating it so that it's very easy to read, and it helped my family for sure. So thanks for working on that continually.
Moving forward in the interest of time, I just want to get into the food composting. And the Royton Community Center outdid us this month. They did 56% to 44%. On the good side, we got 5 more bins added to our side at Cranberry Park. So watch out, Royton. The rest of Norwalk is going to be catching up. And I think that moving forward this year, we should probably, whether we get a grant or not, think about not having this be a pilot program. I think this is something to stay, and maybe we fund it accordingly, or if we don't get the grant funding, but it should be funded and not be considered a pilot program anymore.
So what happened is that we heard that everyone wants that we had that third station in town, so we ended up looking at if we could fund that. We were not able to get any grants, but we're going to be able to fund this third site starting hopefully next week. It will be kind of as you drive into the Cranberry Park, we're going to put the totems on the right side, passing the planters. As soon as that will be established, we're going to send notifications through the social media explaining and letting people know that that third site will be available. So we hope to have it running probably by mid of next week or by the end of next week. And as Chris said, we have the money now to run the pilot program until the end of the year, but we're going to probably add an operations account to be able to continue the food scrapping into our program for the 3 sites for the next year. One thing that we cannot afford yet is to do any, to install any private or do school food composting. That we're not going to be able to make as part of our program. But that's why we're adding the 3 sites, because then everyone can go there and use it from different parts of town.
Excellent. That's good news. And there will be a specific day to drop off at Cranberry, or a couple of days throughout the week? Is that yet to be determined?
I believe it would be every day, because Cranberry Park is manned every day by a Parks and Rec staff, and as part of the kinetic compliance, that's all we needed. So it's a 5-day-a-week operation similar to the transfer.
Awesome. Awesome. Great news. Okay. And then anybody else have any questions or comments, sir? Okay. So then moving on to an current upcoming project status.
So again, we're gonna just update you guys on the construction projects. If you guys have any further questions related to any projects on the design, just let us know and we can give you an update. So I'll start with Drew. Drew can give an update on Dreamy Hollow and also on the pavement management program.
Hi, good evening, everyone. For paving, I'm not sure if we covered it in the last meeting, but right around that time of the last meeting, we finished up West Avenue from Garner to Martin Luther King. After that, we finished up Button Ball, Jarvis, Random, and Rainbow. We're actively working on Plymouth, Center, Harriet, O'Brien, and Fremont Place. And we are hopeful that we might complete Ohio, Center Avenue Extension, Delaware, Hudson, Thames, and Aiken South. These are all in the same neighborhood, but they do require reclaiming and regrading. So there is more involved work in the shaping of those roads. So we're going to need to assess them, assess our progress as we approach Thanksgiving to ensure that we don't open up more roadway than we can close before the asphalt plants close. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. And the same applies for Flax Hill Road, which is a mill and overlay. So there might be still some opportunity there as well. from the Darien line to Highland Avenue with a little localized repair between Highland and Rampart. So that's the paving, and for Dreamy Hollow, we have installed our box culvert that leads from what we call the Friendly Pond area, which is the open water course for that neighborhood. And we've gotten our outfall pipe in, and we've gotten into the roadway now. So we're heavy into the road, taking up a lot of space. And we've informed our residents of how much we'll be taking up space out there. So we're hoping everyone remains patient with us through that neighborhood. But it is a very big box culvert that we're putting down the street. And for the most part, everyone has been very patient and accepting of our contractor and the city to try and get that area wrapped up. So we're moving our way up Friendly Road towards Daphne at this point in time.
Thank you.
Any
Do you guys have
questions
any
on either of
questions?
those?
Okay, so I'll move to Dan Stanton, so he can give you an update for the concrete curbs and sidewalk projects.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dan Stanton. So the concrete curb and sidewalk project, we're also getting towards the end of the season here. We have a couple active roads in the same area, Hudson and Aiken, that we look to complete. We also were coordinating with DOT to make sure that the curb ramps at Main Avenue are completed this season. The state recently paved those roads just along the same lines of data. We're on mark to finish about 3.5 miles of sidewalk improvement this year. So we appreciate the support, and we're looking to go out to bid Friday for a set of roads and ramps that we would begin performing as soon as weather permits in the spring, along with some other plans. And then obviously our capital request is on our mind this time of year.
Since you are there, Dan, do you want to give us an update on the Calf Pasture Beach as well?
Oh, yes. So Calf Pasture Beach, our contractor FGB and us are working on submittals. They're looking at acquiring materials and mobilizing to the site here shortly. We're coordinating with Recs and Parks about, their activities at the beach. And we've obviously stressed to the contractor that the beach, remain open during this time with, closures for safety reasons of portions of the beach, so that parking and green infrastructure project can be completed before the main summer season starting May 15th, 2023.
Okay.
Thank
Any
you.
questions? To be honest, on the on-call drainage and also on the Rowayton Avenue Bridge, we do not have much to report. Rowayton, we're finishing up just punch list, and the on-call drainage, we don't have any major project that we are working now. Right now, we're doing some work at Ryan Park, but that's pretty much what we have for now. Unless if you guys want in more details, then I have Paul to talk about the bridge, and then Drew about the on-call drainage.
What work are you doing at Ryan Park?
We are just doing some test bits for redevelopment with using our on-call drainage, so we can rerun one of the water lines, so all the water fountains will be working properly.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, anything else? DOT projects, anything of note?
We don't have any major changes on the projects. We're probably gonna have a better idea in the next meeting. When they're gonna pause for winter, they're supposed to, all those projects is scheduled to close for do a winter shutdown. We haven't heard any kind of major delays on it. So as of now, everything is moving as supposed to. Strawberry Hill, they're trying to or part of the deck before the end of the winter. And I'll be honest, the way that the weather is holding, I think that they may be able to really get that done. If you drive by every day, they're there continually working.
All right, are there any questions for anyone? Mr. Meek?
Thanks. Yeah, Strawberry Hill. Yeah, it seems like they changed the light pattern this week. The traffic backs up worse than ever right now. So anyway, I don't know if that's something we can help. On the other hand, having witnessed DOT run amok in the city for decades, they actually got the Grumman Ave Bridge done. It's done. How the same bridge on East Rocks took 3 years and this one only took 3 months escapes me from an engineering marvel. But if we could get that crew that did Grumman Avenue to work on everything, I think everyone would be happy.
Vanessa, I was looking just today at that Strawberry Hill and I came out of William Street, took a left. And when those lights turn green, they turn green at the same time. And if there's cars coming northbound on Strawberry Hill, you cannot take the left. So it backs up the traffic all the way to Tierney Street. They either got to put a left-hand arrow there to let the cars go left and stop some of that congestion or do something, because that's a problem. I agree with Councilman Meek.
Thanks, Chris. That's totally it. The left turn on the triangle is mashing up everything right now.
Yeah, I agree. I've been driving there and I noticed that TMP work with DOT on the programming of those lights. So we're going to bring that to them and make sure that we can try to do some adjustments. One thing that may be a little bit tricky is that the lights that are there will be for the permanent way that the bridge will work. So maybe there is not enough phasing to accommodate this temporary staging. So, but we're going to check on that and see if there is at least maybe change a little bit the timing to improve the traffic.
I think there's snafus with whatever might be going on in East Avenue. When I was driving over there a couple hours ago, at 5 o'clock, 95 was dead, but the whole Strawberry Hill corridor was jammed. It suggested something must have been happening south on 95 that attributed to that. I don't know, but those Grumman Ave crew that finished that job in 3 months, I want them on every project in Norwalk.
Okay.
Well, make sure you know who they are so you can compliment them, Vanessa.
Yes, I will. I'll pass the word. But we're gonna make sure that we bring that to the Strawberry Hill project management about the traffic light tomorrow morning.
Thank you for bringing that publicly too, Mr. Meek, because it's always good to notice when work is done well.
Thanks.
Okay, anything else? All right, I think we are good for tonight. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, we all want to stay tonight? We're having so much fun.
Oh, I raised my hand.
Oh, sorry, I missed you. Okay, Ms. Johnson got it. Okay.
My camera's finally on because
Okay. All right, all in favor? Okay, good night, everybody.
Night.
Have a
Good
good
night.
night.
Thank you
Good
all.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Take care.